Jenny's the acting billionaire mistress' heart slammed against her chest like a drum gone wild. The bright lights from the news cameras blinded her. The sound of reporters shouting questions rang in her ears. Flashes exploded like fireworks, making her blink over and over again. And then it happened. Adam pulled her close. So close she could smell the faint, clean scent of his cologne. It was something crisp, like cedarwood mixed with something softer, maybe vanilla. Her mind barely had time to register the thought before his lips came down on hers. Firm. Warm. Confident. For a full second, Jenny froze. Her hands, which had been awkwardly resting by her side, lifted on their own and landed on his chest. She felt the steady thud of his heartbeat beneath his tailored black suit jacket. Was this really happening? Yes. It was. Adam Grant, the billionaire hotel owner, the man who had barely touched her in public before tonight, was kissing her. In front of everyone. And not just any kiss. This wasn't some quick peck. It was long. Deep. Slow but full of intent. And it wasn't fake. At least, it didn't feel fake. Jenny's stomach flipped as heat rushed through her body. Her fingers curled slightly against his chest, and for a brief, dizzy second, she kissed him back. Everything else, the noise, the flashing cameras, the people gasping, all faded into the background. For that moment, it was just her and Adam. But just as quickly as it started, it ended. Adam pulled away, breaking the kiss, but his hand stayed firmly on the small of her back. His other hand came up to lightly brush a strand of hair from her cheek, a soft touch that made her skin tingle. He leaned close, dropping his head to her ear, and whispered low enough that only she could hear. Smile. Don't break character. Jenny blinked, trying to gather her spinning thoughts. Character. Right. This was a performance. All of it. A carefully planned, very public lie. Her fake marriage to the city's most eligible billionaire. She forced a smile onto her face, even though her lips still felt swollen and her heart hadn't stopped pounding. Jenny. Adam. Look this way. Give us another kiss for the front page. Is the baby next? One reporter shouted, making the crowd laugh. Jenny's cheeks flushed hot. Baby? Good grief. Adam's arm around her waist tightened protectively as he guided her away from the reporters and into the hotel's side corridor. The noise behind them softened as the heavy doors closed, but Jenny still felt like she was shaking from the inside out. Adam didn't let go until they reached a quiet spot near the private elevators. Only then did he release her, stepping back just enough to look her in the eyes. His face was unreadable, calm, controlled, with that same cool business expression she'd seen so many times before. But tonight, something felt different. Are you okay? He asked, voice lower now, no trace of the charming playboy tone he used for the media. Jenny touched her lips without thinking. You didn't tell me you were going to do that. It was the only way to shut them up. They were doubting us. You saw the looks on their faces. She crossed her arms over her chest, needing some kind of barrier between them. Yeah, but, still. You should have warned me. That kiss, she trailed off, unsure how to finish the sentence. That kiss what? Surprised her. Made her feel things she shouldn't. Adam exhaled slowly, pushing a hand through his dark hair. I'm sorry. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. I just reacted. Jenny's heart skipped again. He reacted. Since when did Adam Grant react without thinking? The man was known for being cold, calculated, always in control. She chewed her bottom lip, looking away. Well, you definitely sold it. They'll be talking about that kiss for weeks. Adam gave a soft, humorless chuckle. That's the idea. Silence stretched between them. Jenny stared at the carpet, her pulse still not fully recovered. Was it, just for the cameras?" she finally asked, her voice smaller than she intended. Adam's eyes narrowed, and for a second, something almost vulnerable flickered across his face. But it disappeared as fast as it came. "Yes," he said simply. "Just for the cameras." Jenny swallowed hard and nodded. Of course. What else did she expect? This whole arrangement was fake from the beginning. A contract. A job. She was playing a part, nothing more. And yet, the ache in her chest didn't care about logic. Before either of them could say more, Adam's assistant, Carl, hurried around the corner. "Mr. Grant, your uncle's arrived," Carl said, looking between them like he knew he was interrupting something important. "He's asking questions about Jenny. He's not convinced." Adam muttered a curse under his breath. Jenny's head snapped up. "Your uncle." Adam turned to her, his expression tightening. "My biggest investor. If he smells anything fake about this, he'll pull his funding. And half the board will follow him." Her stomach sank. So that was why Adam had kissed her like that. Not because he wanted to. Because he had to. For business. For image. For control. Jenny took a deep breath, forcing her shaky legs to steady. "All right," she said, straightening her shoulders. "Let's go convince him." Adam paused, looking at her for a beat too long, as if seeing her in a new light. Then he nodded once. "Let's go." Together, they walked towards the next performance. But deep inside, Jenny knew something had changed tonight. Something she wasn't sure either of them could undo. And for the first time since signing the contract, she wasn't sure she wanted to. 1 week earlier. Jenny Parker sat cross-legged on her worn-out couch, staring at the cracked screen of her phone. The words on the email glowed back at her. Subject, job opportunity, immediate response required. Her brows furrowed. Job opportunity? She hadn't applied for anything new. Not lately, anyway. Between juggling freelance design gigs and trying to keep up with rent, food, and her never-ending student loan payments, Jenny barely had time to breathe, let alone go job hunting. Her tiny studio apartment smelled like instant coffee and cheap vanilla air freshener. A half-eaten bowl of noodles sat cold on the coffee table. With a sigh, she clicked on the email, expecting it to be some scam asking for her bank details. Instead, the message was short and oddly formal. "Dear Miss Parker. I would like to discuss a temporary business arrangement that requires your urgent attention. Compensation is generous. Please reply if available. Regards. Adam Grant." Her stomach dropped. Adam Grant? No way. There had to be some mistake. She clicked on the sender's name. The email domain was legit at grantcorporategroup.com. Her heart started racing. This wasn't a prank. This was real. The Adam Grant. Billionaire hotel mogul. One of New York's most famous and eligible bachelors. She'd seen him in magazines. On TV. In those grainy paparazzi photos showing him walking out of private jets, always wearing sunglasses and that unreadable expression. What could a man like him possibly want from her? Jenny barely slept that night. By morning, after pacing around her apartment for hours, she gave in and replied to the email. 5 minutes later, her phone rang. A deep voice spoke on the other end. Calm. Direct. No small talk. "This is Adam Grant." Jenny swallowed hard. Hi. I need to see you. Today. My office. 2 p.m. And just like that, the line went dead. Now here she was, standing in the lobby of Grant Tower. The floor beneath her feet was polished marble that made her scuffed sneakers look even worse than usual. Men and women in sharp suits moved around her, tapping on tablets, speaking into wireless earpieces. Jenny tugged at her faded denim jacket and tried not to feel completely out of place. Her heart raced as the elevator doors opened. When she stepped inside, she caught her reflection in the mirrored walls. Brown hair pulled into a messy bun. Barely there makeup. Definitely not billionaire wife material. The elevator dinged on the 50th floor. A woman with a sleek ponytail greeted her as soon as she stepped out. "Miss Parker. Mr. Grant is expecting you." Jenny followed her down a long hallway lined with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered a breathtaking view of the city. At the end stood a large oak door. The assistant knocked once, then pushed it open. Adam Grant stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, his back to her. He wore a navy blue suit that looked like it cost more than her yearly rent. Even from behind, there was something intimidating about him, something cold and distant. After a few seconds, he ended the call and turned around. Jenny froze. In person, he was even more handsome than she expected. Sharp jawline. Dark hair neatly styled. Those steel blue eyes that seemed to see straight through her. "Miss Parker," he said, walking over to his desk. "Thank you for coming." Jenny cleared her throat. "Honestly, I'm still not sure why I'm here." Adam motioned for her to sit. "I'll get straight to the point. I need a wife." Jenny blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Temporarily, of course," he added quickly. "Just for a week." Her mind went blank. He opened a folder on his desk and slid it toward her. Inside was a legal-looking document with several pages of fine print. "Let me explain," Adam said, folding his hands together like he was negotiating a business deal. "I'm hosting the Grant Foundation Gala this Saturday. It's the biggest charity event of the year for my company. Investors, board members, press, they'll all be there." "Okay," Jenny said slowly. "There have been rumors." His tone darkened slightly. "About my personal life. The media thinks I'm unstable. That I'm reckless. That I can't settle down. It's starting to affect business." Jenny bit her lip. Honestly, she had seen the gossip articles herself. Photos of Adam at parties with different women. Headlines speculating about his so-called playboy lifestyle. "So, you want me to help change that image?" she asked carefully. "Exactly," Adam said with a nod. "I need to appear settled. Responsible. Family-oriented." Jenny's eyes widened. "And you picked me because—" "You were recommended," he said simply. "Someone I trust said you'd be convincing." Jenny's mind spun. Who on earth would recommend her for something like this? Before she could ask, Adam continued, "You'd attend the gala as my wife. We'd appear together in public for the next week. Photos. Social media. A few interviews, perhaps." Her mouth went dry. "Interviews? Nothing too personal," he promised. "We'll control the narrative." Jenny let out a nervous laugh. "You make it sound like we're writing a script." "In a way, we are." She stared at the contract in front of her. "Let me guess," she said. "There's a rule about no real feelings getting involved." Adam's lips curved into a faint smile. "Naturally. This is strictly business." Jenny sat back in the chair, running a hand through her hair. "This is insane," she muttered. "Maybe," Adam agreed. "But it's also well compensated." Her eyes flicked to the number written on the final page of the contract. Her breath caught in her throat. It was more money than she had seen in her entire life. Enough to pay off her student loans. Cover rent for a year. Maybe even, buy a car that didn't break down every other month. Her heart and her brain started battling it out. This was crazy. Completely crazy. But it was also the answer to every financial problem she'd been drowning in. Jenny looked up at Adam, trying to read him. He looked calm. Unbothered. Like this was just another business transaction for him. And maybe it was. But for her, this felt like jumping off a cliff without knowing where she'd land. "Do I have time to think about it?" she asked. Adam tilted his head slightly. "Not much. The gala's in 5 days. The press announcements start tomorrow." Jenny inhaled sharply. 5 days. Her fingers drummed nervously on the edge of the desk. Finally, after what felt like forever, she reached for the pen. Her hand shook slightly as she signed her name at the bottom of the page. When she finished, Adam stood and extended his hand toward her. "Welcome to the show, Mrs. Grant," he said with a cool smile. Jenny shook his hand, her stomach doing nervous flips. "What have I gotten myself into?"